I was informed, right now I'm currently learning Morphling, and I was informed that Yatoro has a Morphling guide on Team Spirit's YouTube. Currently at 300,000 views, so looking like it's pretty popular. And I might as well watch exactly what I need to hear from Yatoro.
Banana slam jam. My waters rise.
Этот герой может играть в абсолютно любые пики, то есть неважно, что против него пикают. Если у вас хороший нетворс, то, скорее всего, вы победите, потому что у героя слишком сломанный агоним, и за счет
because his
агонима,
agonyms is too broken.
неважно против каких героев.
So I'll pause and say that the reason why his agonyms is broken is that you steal 20% of your target's primary stat, and then you also steal something else based on what primary stat they have. Most notably for agility heroes, you steal 20% of their agility, and you also steal 70 attack speed. In the old days, Morphling used to, you know, have to morph into, like, supports like Shaker and Willow and be, like, all flashy. But right now, and sometime in, like, 3rd, 4th item... Actually, let's hear when he thinks you're supposed to buy Ags. But at some point in the game, you buy an Ags, and in teamfights, you just morph into the enemy carry, and he loses, like, 100 attack speed.
Героев ты играешь. Главное это нормально поставить линию, а по игре тебе, в принципе,
in the lane, he's good with any stun or lockdown.
Любой стан, либо замедление.
Melees are better. Okay, yeah, I mean, range carry, melee supports, for sure.
Желательно любой толстый герой, который...
Any fat hero who doesn't suffer from harassment. Yeah, you want somebody to tank for you. Morphling's pretty weak level 1.
Вы должны будете акцентировать внимание на крипах. Из-за того, что морф очень сложно трейдиться.
Okay, so he's basically saying Ultra Bing Chill, play for CS.
Всегда хочется. Из-за того, что она требует маны.
Поэтому
вы будете просто стоять лосититься и пытаться...
Is it level 3 like for attribute shift?
С третьим левелом вы уже становитесь очень сильные. Стартовый закуп я выделил для себя два.
Tango, stick, and 3 branches. If you don't need the stick, then the second one is slipper, circlet, tango, clawing blade, and 2 branches. Okay, that's the build I went last game.
Танго,
so we can see them at the bottom, but it's kind of covered by
subtitles. Из этих шмоток потом делаем в рейсбенд, если вы играете через линку.
If you play with Falcon Blade, then you just buy a Falcon Blade and a Morph mask. Oh, so if you are going the Falcon Blade build, you don't also go Wraithband. Interesting. But he goes Wraithband if he buys Lincolns. I guess... So what happened to me was I bought Wraithband and Falcon, and I ended up selling the Wraithband at like 22 minutes or something. So I guess what he's saying is it's just too many build-up items, you run out of slots. Most default build is Falcon Blade, Morbid Mask, Treads, Wands, Manta, and I have Scotty with Ags. Okay. So he's saying the default build, if you don't know what else to buy, if you're newer to Morph, that's the default build. Manta, Scotty, Ags. You always need these two items if you don't need BKB. If you need BKB, then buy Yasha, BKB, and then Ags. So play without Manta. Oh, shit. Well, I went Manta BKB in my last game, but we were kind of stomping, so I don't think that counts. So he's saying that if you're going BKB, you don't also want Manta. At least for a while, I would assume. Maybe you go, like, later Manta, if it's, like, if there's something to dispel, like Triad or something.
Яшу БКБ, а потом агоним. То есть без манты играете. Сильные стороны Морфа, его очень сложно выгнать с линии, и вам нужно это будет как можно сильнее использовать. Слабые стороны, это он очень...
You'll have to use it as much as possible. The disadvantage is that he's very vulnerable to harass.
Вы, конечно, не будете умирать на линии, скорее
всего.
Если там нет сайленса, но сайленса сейчас почти нет ни у какого героя.
Yeah, he's saying that most of the heroes he's playing against don't have silences.
А так вы просто не будете подходить, если вас будет харасить из-за того, что перекачка стоит очень много маны, вы, скорее всего, будете нажимать wave, потом перекачаетесь в ловкость, потом обратно в силу, за счет этого у вас не будет маны, достаточное количество на wave.
So he's basically saying that in the old days, the higher level you got, the cheaper attribute shift cost per stat, but nowadays it's flat stat per mana cost, so you run out of mana a lot if you're getting harassed a lot.
И вы не сможете подходить к крипам. Плюс расходники на морфе не хочется
покупать, из-за того, что вам нужна либо морбитка, либо кольцо.
То есть в идеале вам добить кольцо и потом уже стоять трейдиться.
So he's saying if you get a lot of harass, then you go for an early regen item. Okay.
Это вам нужно качать на первом атрибуте Shift. Потом, если нужна
Okay, then if
волна
you
для
need the wave for
качать
escape,
волну.
upgrade wave,
Потом
otherwise
второй
the
спелл.
second
Желательно
spell.
второй спелл на четвертом иметь 2. Так как
As the
мы
mana
фиксили
cost has been
mana-кост,
fixed, and now it only
он теперь
costs
стоит
50
50
mana
маны
at
всего
level
лишь на
2.
втором левеле. И за счет этого вы можете всегда контестить ренжа, всегда харасить врага. И это очень сильно сказывается на лейнинге. То есть вы уже охотник, а не жертва.
Only go to the jungle if you have a really bad lane.
Если у вас нестаябельная линия, например,
Yeah, Morphling's not a flash
если вы не
farmer.
можете стоять такую линию, то вам лучше покинуть ее и пойти в лес, просто набирать свой фарм в идеале. В идеале еще, конечно, стать мид. После лейнинга в идеале
Okay, so he's saying you can only farm triangle if you have Morbid Mass Treads and a Yasha.
вам сместиться на тройку.
Meaning
В
he doesn't
идеальной
think you have enough
ситуации у
sustain
вас,
with the new
Morbid
nerfed
КПТ,
Morbid
Яша, и вы идете на
to go jungle at the
тройку, там
triangle.
добивать манту.
That's actually valuable
Манты вы
information. That's
станете
stuff you
гораздо
usually have to
сильнее,
feel out.
И по игре все, что вам надо сделать из-за того,
And because the glyph has been fixed, you need to break the tier 2 tower top as quickly as possible.
что
So he's
сейчас
saying
гриф
to like
почистили,
slowly wear
вам
this
надо
tower
как можно
down. Yeah, yeah.
быстрее
The manta's
сломать
really
этого
nice for that. You're
вышестока.
seeing him tank
Сейчас
the
это
tower with
делать,
his illusion.
намного проще,
Your manta illusions
потому
also
что
do a lot
героев
of
так много,
damage.
которые могут вас словить, и вы просто качаете весь топ-лес и ломаете вышку периодически.
So glyph got changed from being where every tier 1 tower refreshes glyph to every first tower of every tier refreshes glyph. So a lot of times you can like rely on your team to kind of threaten mid tower a bit, and a lot of times the enemy team will be forced to glyph the mid tower at some point after you've already taken the top tower, and then it makes it easier to take the tier 2. That's what he's saying.
За условные 5 минут, там с 12 по 17 минуту вы, скорее всего, сломаете вышку, если, ну, вас не идут убивать, конечно. Лучшие нейтралки это Possessed Mask и новая нейтралка,
two mana when
которая
you're
дает
attacking,
вам ману,
yeah, yeah.
когда вас атакуют. Вам не нужно покупать Clarity и так далее.
Always take
Таланты
level-
вы всегда берете
Yeah,
сейчас
okay.
Wave, плюс
Take the
250
right
на
talent at
10-м,
20 and take 2
потом
waves.
берете плюс 16 и
Yeah.
на 25-м
Just in
2
case.
волны. Это слишком сильный талант, чтобы его игнорировать. В мидгейме вам желательно всегда подключаться с ТП в драку, потому что герой очень немобильный. У вас не будет достаточного количества времени, чтобы
Okay, so if you're
перейти в
going to
драку
fight,
просто
you'll
на
only
вейвах,
TP. Yeah, I did that
вы
last game. I
просто
TP'd to
тратите
my
из-за того, что
outpost.
героя монопул
I do
стоит.
feel like the
Всегда
location of the
пытайтесь
fight.
навязывать драки.
I feel like the location of the fight on Morphling is insanely important. I feel like what he's saying here, but what I've also learned already in like the few games I've played him, is that because you're so slow, you kind of want to force the issue wherever you are. Like last game I played Morph, we kind of like sieged mid tower for like 2 minutes, and it feels like he kind of just wears everybody in the game down. Anybody who walks up, you just spam Adaptive Strike, you right click harder than they do, you have the Morbid Mask. So it feels like because you're so slow, where a lot of other heroes would just walk away and go farm, you'd rather stick to whatever you're doing. And then he's saying you choose your fight location based on TPing to it. Like, you don't walk to fights. So I think a big part of this is that the hero's really slow, basically. And you should change your playstyle because the hero's movement speed is really low. So your peak power is Manta style Ags or Yasha BKB Ags.
Возле ваших таверов, то есть ваш пик силы это Манта Аганим, либо Яша БКБ Аганим. Это прям пик силы, с которым вы можете просто убить вражескую команду чуть ли не в соло. Убивать
You have to
нужно
kill
в идеале.
under the stun of your teammates. You start the fight, your teammates give a stun, you press wave and adaptive strike, and then you're most likely to kill any support. Yeah, so what he's saying here is let your teammates go first. He's basically saying don't go first. And I've definitely learned this. The worst thing that you can do on Morph is waveform in and then just get focused. So letting your teammates go first, I think, is a big deal.
В идеале подстан какой-то в вашей команде, любой абсолютно.
And you basically eliminate
То есть,
like
как
any
вы
hero in the
заходите в
game because
драку,
waveform
ваши
adaptive
тиммейты
is like
дают
so much
стан,
damage.
Вы нажимаете Wave Adaptive, тычку, и, скорее всего, вы убьете любого сапа. Если
Yeah,
вы
he's
не
just
можете
following up
тратить
his teammates all
Wave
game.
в драке,
If you can't waste the wave in a fight, then just press adaptive strike morph and use the skills from range. So don't use the wave. Okay. So the way he's saying things, I don't know how it's translated or not, like if it's translated perfectly. But what he's basically saying is if you think waveforming in will result in you running away because they're gonna go on you, then he's basically saying treat your wave almost like an activatable item that like you got to be very careful to go in. I feel like with Morphling, you can kind of kite people back a lot. You can kind of tease them to go on you. And as long as you're baiting them a little bit and you don't waveform in and they just get focused, like I feel like in my first few games of Morph, I was just waveforming in and getting focused and then doing nothing. It's always better to have stun heroes because this hero is always dependent on it. It's such a carry that can get burst damage even after the fix of the Ethereal Blade. He still has a lot of damage. Yeah, so you don't go ETH Blade anymore, that's for sure.
То просто нажимайте Adaptive Strike.
But yeah, he does do a ton of damage.
Морф и пытайтесь откидывать скиллы с ренджа. То есть если вас убьют за вейв, то лучше его не тратить. С морфом в идеале иметь станы всегда в команде, потому что герой от этого очень сильно зависит. Это именно такой керри, который может внести бёрст, даже после фикса Этериала. Все равно у него слишком много урона, и лучше всего...
It's easier to have a stun in the team, like Centaur, Clog, Invoker, any slowdown, you press the wave, Adaptive Strike, give 2 strokes. Give 2 strokes! Quick 2 strokes!
Инвокер какой-то. Любой стан, любое замедление, вы нажимаете туда Wave Adaptive, 2 тычки, и, скорее всего, вы убьете врага. Лучшие герои
The best hero for ultimate, for example, if you play versus any carry that doesn't depend on his skills, but on his DPS attack speed, always press on such carries. Yeah, he's saying that the Ags stealing their agility and their attack speed is really important.
В основном не от своих кнопок, а от своего ДПС, атак спида. То есть Дуза, Фантомка, не знаю, Антимаг. То есть Void в идеале всегда Войда нажимать. Всегда нажимайте в...
There's a carry who doesn't depend on attack speed. There are a few, but they do exist, and it's best to press it on any strength hero. Oh! So the strength hero gives you 40% status resistance, and all of these buffs go back to morph when he's in morph form. Like, when he's not the actual hero. So... he's saying that if it's not useful to steal attack speed from the enemy carry, then just turn into any strength hero in order to get status resistance.
От своего атак спида таких мало.
Yeah, I mean, 40% status resistance is pretty nutty.
Нажимать в любого стрэнджевика. Шарт обычно я не...
Yeah, this is like stuff that would probably take 20 games to figure out, minimum. So this is like a really nice guide so far. I usually don't take the shard. I never need it. I have noticed that virtually no morphlings buy the shard. But if you're just learning to play morphling, then take it. It's right for a mistake, so it makes it easier to play. If you play versus Lion or Void, then it's better to buy the shard. Yep. The only time I've seen competitive morphlings buy shard was against Faceless Void for Chronosphere. So he's basically saying Shard is some nice training wheels for Morphling. You need to split until your peak power and until you can kill Roshan. It's easy if you can split, then split. If you can fight, then fight. If you can't fight, then split. I mean, that's like poorly described, I guess. I don't know how, once again, the translation. He's basically saying if you don't feel comfortable fighting on Morph, just don't. The hero can split pretty well. Just keep splitting until you can eventually fight. Don't feel forced to fight. I would say what he's saying right here is that if you don't feel like you can fight, then split. He said in fights that you go on people who have gotten stunned and you can follow up the stuns. So if you don't feel like for whatever reason that's happening in your game, you know, whether your teammates drafted no stuns or whether or not your teammates aren't using their stuns or whether or not you're so far behind it's really hard to stun them, then don't go in and just keep splitting. So earlier he gave the condition for fighting. Now he's saying if you can't fight, then split, and yada yada yada.
Потому что он дает фришные атрибуты и занимает 0 слотов. Вам нужно сплитить до своего пика силы, и пока вы не сможете забрать Рошана. То есть, если вы можете сплитить, вы сплитите. Если вы можете драться, вы деретесь. Как бы все просто. Если вы не можете драться, вы сплитите. Аппарат считается контрпиком морфа.
Counterpick Morphling.
Но сейчас я поиграл пару игр, и я понял, что, в принципе, можно играть против него. Вы просто покупаете Сашу Яшу и нажимаете морф.
Oh, okay. That's the counter to AA. That's how you deal with it? Oh, okay. Could you just have like 50 or 60% status resistance, and then you just take no... Okay.
И все. Ульт спадает буквально за секунды 3, наверное. Даже если вы словили ульт, вы все равно можете легко драться. Пару советов. Это пытаться нажимать ульт в герою, у которого больше всего статов. То есть какого-то пуджа, это в идеале нажимать, вы получите...
Tower trades are uneasy. Yeah, he's saying to... So last game I played, I straight up was getting dove for like 2 minutes. And I chose to be willing to get dove to keep my tower alive. And so I thought that was right on Morphling. Like, I wasn't actually sure, but I thought it was right, and it looks like he's agreeing. It looks like he's saying, that if you think it's going to keep your tower alive, do it.
Мало даст. Всегда пытайтесь стоять...
Honestly, I watched the Nico Baby course. I had a review of the Nico Baby course from like 2 years ago. And he used Morphling as an example of a hero that's kind of like willing to sacrifice his own farm a bit in order to keep towers alive. The hero's like very good at influencing objectives in the game.
До конца, в принципе. Это сейчас очень важно, потому что
So he's
размен
saying
вышек
that
очень
kind of here
сложно
too.
происходит. Зачастую там будет драка 5 на 5, а вы не такие сильные в драке на минуте 10, то есть у вас левел там 7. Вы не можете еще полноценно драться с врагами.
You'll most often fight 5-on-5, but you're not that powerful in the 10th minute. So try to stay in lane, call TP, and don't fight before Aghanim if your enemies have good picks versus you. And a micro tip, always press F when you enter any high ground on the map. I assume F is the hotkey for strength morph. So when you're walking up high grounds,
просто
strength
пытайтесь
morph.
стоять линию и кольте ТП. И в идеале просто не драться до Аганима, если у врагов сильный пик против вас. Но еще могу дать такой микро-адвайс. Всегда, когда вы заходите на хайграунд, не в плане на базу, а в принципе на любые хайграунды на карте, всегда нажимайте F. Вас, скорее всего...
So he's not strength morphing before he goes up the high ground. Like, he's not making sure his max HP is high. He's making it so when he walks up the high ground, at that very second, he's morphing strength, so that if he were to get stunned, he has strength morph on. So that's actually a really cool tip, because what I did in my game was I strength morphed, like, over here, and just made it so I had, like, twice as much HP as he has. But that costs a lot of mana, because in the past you could do that and it wouldn't really cost very much mana. But now he's saying that the second he walks up the hill, he turns strength morph on. If nobody's there, he then turns it off. So it's like a way to count for not getting stunned, but it's also a way to save mana. So that's cool. I actually wouldn't have thought of that. If you don't see heroes for a long time on the map, just click attribute shift, plus press DF, DF, and there will be a chance to get strength. Oh, shit! That's cool. Wait, so if he's afraid of getting ganked, he literally spams the 2 attribute shift buttons. I'm gonna test that. Oh, that costs so little mana. It definitely costs mana, but it's so little. Yeah, so he's just straight up doing this while he's farming. And then he's got a 50% chance for it to be agility if he gets gone on. Hey man, that sounds like he learned that from Eternal Envy. Try spamming strength morph on and off. Well, the problem with strength morph on and off is that you're actually gaining strength. Slowly but surely, you are gaining strength. So you're going to farm slower. So he's doing it back and forth because you're not changing your stats. But if you get stunned, you have a 50-50 chance to be strength morphing. Almost likely, if you press...
Нажимаете F, то у вас меньше шансов умереть, в принципе. А это очень важно. И если не видите героев очень долго на карте, то просто тоглите перекачку, нажимайте DF, 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 и тогда есть шанс, что если на вас нападут смока условного, то вы будете в перекачке на силу. Главная практика и любить этого героя. Спасибо за просмотр, ставьте лайки, пишите комментарии, мне интересно будет их почитать, пишите.
Okay, I'll vouch. Small chance I get in trouble by posting this video, but I'm gonna post it, just see what happens. This is a really good guide. I enjoyed it. I would say none of it's like ultra high level stuff in the sense that like it seems complicated. Like I'm not saying it's not high level. I'm saying it's like it doesn't seem that complicated, but the stuff he's saying is like really useful. So it's stuff that some of it I would have never thought of, and some of it I would have taken a long time to learn. So I'm currently learning Morphling right now. This is what I'm trying to do. So I guess relearn Morphling, because in the past I used to play Morphling, but you get it. So I'm definitely glad I watched this for the sake of making the process much shorter. Very cool guide. I hope you guys enjoyed my interpretations of what he said. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.